He wrote in a book in prison, and it took him just 11 days. The recently released political prisoner Oleg Sentsov presented his book The Marketer here in Kyiv. These are autobiographical stories about the student years of the film director. Sentsov wrote the book in a Russian penal colony beyond the Arctic Circle, where he was serving his sentence on fabricated terrorism charges. Now, you might remember a Russian court sentenced Sentsov to 20 years in prison, but the director was released along with other Ukrainian political prisoners and prisoners of war in early September this year. Our correspondent visited the most recent presentation of his book.
Despite the fact that The Marketer was presented in Lviv in mid-September, interest remains high. In Kyiv, more than 600 people attended an event to learn more about Oleg Sentsov's new book. This book was written in prison. It's interesting for me, both as a publisher and an ordinary person, how the author felt when he wrote the text behind bars without any human interaction. Oleg Sentsov wrote The Marketer using pen and paper in the Labytnangi penal colony in the Arctic Circle. It's a collection of small stories from his student years in the early 1990s. Not just about learning and adventure, but about examining his own values, stereotypes and character.
Not all 11 stories are autobiographical. There are stories written about other people, and even those written about me are written in the third person. I tried to separate myself from it, to step outside myself, to see myself without embellishment, because writing must be honest and interesting, and that's how I try to write. And you are in prison during this time, and in prison there's no difference.
While incarcerated, Sentsov passed the manuscripts of The Marketer to Anastasia Chorna, who decrypted and reviewed them. We corresponded at that time. Through Oleg's handwriting, I already understood his mood. Sometimes it was small, sometimes illegible, sometimes in block letters, sometimes each word was separate. Fortunately, The Marketer was written quite well. Oleg promises this is not his final book. During his time behind bars, the Ukrainian film director chronicled his 140-day hunger strike. He says the handwriting in his diary was so poor, the penal colony workers couldn't decipher the notes and allowed him to keep them.
145 days. There were at least 145 pages. There were probably more. My handwriting was terrible there. My condition was bad. And I tried to make it as illegible as possible so that no one could read it, because I wrote about prison, and prison staff don't like that. It was a huge risk, because they could take them away, and not only them, but all of my manuscripts, including The Marketer.
Sentsov plans to publish his diaries from his time in the maximum security colony by September 7th next year, on the anniversary of his release. Reported by Yulia Boshko, UATV.